Welcome to the YouTube Creators Hub podcast, where we help you conquer the internet one video at a time. We cover everything from how to start a YouTube channel to how to make a video go viral. And now, here's your host, the one and only Dusty Porter.
Hello and welcome to episode 413 of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. My name is Dusty Porter. I host the show each and every Friday morning where I interview and I sit down with a YouTube content creator and I talk with them about their journey. I talk with them about their ups and downs, their failures, the things that make them tick as a creator. So if you're looking for a behind-the-scenes look of what it means to succeed on YouTube or with content creation, this is certainly the podcast for you. So subscribe. It's absolutely free. If you would like to help us out, you can support us by supporting our sponsor, which is TubeBuddy. You can get a free 30-day trial using TubeBuddy. Just click our link, use it. If you want to, you can keep going after the end of the month. If not, it just falls off and no extra work for you. So TubeBuddy is that tool that I recommend everyone try at least once. I promise you will not regret it. A couple of other ways you can connect with me. I do offer professional YouTube coaching or podcast coaching if you're looking to launch a podcast. All of those links will be in the show notes of this episode. And we also have one of the quickest growing YouTube communities on the internet over on our Discord server. Support us on Patreon for $5 a month. You get access to that community as well as the monthly mastermind calls. So if you want to get in for the August call, which is hosted on Zoom by me, you need to do that here in the next week or so. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. All right, with all of that out of the way, I do want to mention that, listen, this thing, podcasting, works just like YouTube in that if you want a show to grow, you have to have people share it. So if you have taken something from the show or you enjoy what we do here, leave us a review on your podcast platform of choice. Just subscribe. That really helps. And then just share it like a clip of the show on X or Facebook or Instagram or whatever social of your choice. I love to watch this show grow. We continue to grow month after month, and it's because of creators like you. So let's go ahead and jump into this week's conversation. Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's conversation on the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. Dusty here, the host of the show, as always, joined today by another wonderful creator, Anderson Bluu, with 2 U's over on YouTube. He's accumulated over 350,000 subscribers, just over 620 videos. Anderson is a graphic designer and artist. He makes art for sports and pop culture, and he's really interested in helping people who want to get into graphic design and art. He's got some really amazing content over on his channel, a great community that he's built over there alongside his website where you can find at bluudreams.com. All of those links will be in the show notes. But Anderson, how are you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for having me on the show. Just telling you earlier that you doing a podcast for 10 years is incredible. So I'm excited to be here and just learn more about what you do and share my story.
Absolutely. Yes, we were talking off air. We are going on a decade of this podcast, and I don't see it stopping anytime soon because I'm not running out of amazing creators like yourself, and we're getting new listeners and viewers each and every week. And so I'm very proud of what the show has become. But enough about that. Let's go ahead and dive into your story. So if you go to YouTube, type in Anderson Bluu with 2 U's, you'll find your YouTube channel. You've got a great community over there. You've been doing it for a while as well. I sorted by oldest, and it looks like 6 years ago was when your first video was, and I've seen the evolution of your channel. So I'm going to let you tell it. What's the origin story of the channel?
My origin story is all over the place. I'm going to be honest with you, so bear with me. So back in 2016, I decided to start a YouTube channel because, to make a long story short, I started doing art prints. The reason why I started doing art prints is because I had a clothing brand. It didn't work out. I just couldn't crack the code. Just so everybody knows, running a clothing brand is like almost next to impossible. But while I was figuring that out, I had a death on my side of my family. My dad passed away. After my dad passed, everything pretty much just shook my world. And I said to myself, hey, look, if I really want to do graphic design, I really want to do artwork, life is short. Now is the time to do it. And just watching my dad, and just for some background context, my dad was a police officer. He did his 20, 30 years. He retired. He did everything. Pretty much in my eyes, he lived the American dream. And then as soon as he retired, a few years later, he just suddenly passed away. Me growing up, he always told me to try to do the right things, try to get a government job so you can secure yourself. And after watching what he did, it just woke me up and I said, hey, life's short. I want to do the things I want to do. And one of the things I want to do is become a graphic designer. So that's when I started a YouTube channel so I could track my journey. So it first started off with me doing prints. I had 1 or 2 prints. And then I started to do like a little tour traveling to different conventions in the United States. And from the first convention, I started to see a little bit of interest. People started to get interested in the artwork I was doing. At the time, most of the artwork was sneaker related, so I did a lot of sneaker shows. And then by the time I got to my 5th show, it started to get picked up by different blogs and different magazines, and people started talking about it. And then I said, hey, I think there's something here. And I decided to go on a world tour, and I tracked everything on my YouTube channel. Every place I went to, every town I went to, every country I went to, I brought a videographer with me, and we just showed the experience, pretty much doing a vlog. By the way, when I did it, I had no idea what I was doing. God bless you for looking back at those old videos. I know they're all over the place. But for me, I just knew that YouTube is a good way to share my story, show what I was doing. And yeah, that's how I got started.
So I've got a lot of questions for you. First, I just want to say, I know it was a while ago, but I am sorry about the loss of your father. I know,
Thank you.
having lost many people close to me in the past few years, granted, not my parents, but my grandparents, who I was very close with. It's not something that I'd wish on anybody, but you know what? That happens. And in life, we're not, like you said, life's short. And I love you had the action statement of, hey, I saw what my dad did. He was a great example. And I want to live the life that I want to live. That way, when I get to the end of it, there's no regrets. And so you decided to take this thing that you're passionate about, graphic design, and capture it on YouTube. Now, you've grown your channel, like I said, to over 300 and some odd thousand subscribers. You do a really good job with vertical video, YouTube Short. So we'll definitely talk about that. That's been a big way that you've grown your channel. So we're going to put a pin and a bookmark there, and we're going to come back to that. I want to ask you right now, first and foremost, what's been the most surprising thing about being a YouTube creator? And then that's part one of the question. And then part two is, what is something that you wish you would have known sooner?
So you said was one of the biggest surprises?
Yeah.
So one of the biggest surprises for me is how much work it is. I'm going to be honest, when I first saw, so just to backtrack, when I went to the sneaker show selling my art prints, that's the first time I came in contact with YouTubers. Like I saw it in like real time.
Right.
So the show was called SneakerCon, would hire YouTubers to come to the show and just be there, have a booth, whatever, sell product. And when the show first opened, literally, I saw hundreds of kids run to the YouTubers. They didn't go anywhere else. They wanted to meet the YouTubers. And I said to myself, wow, if I had just a little bit of that, I would know what to do with it since I'm selling my artwork. But it wasn't until, especially these last few years, trying to figure out long form content, just coming up with ideas and just trying to make good videos. Like I said, I'm a graphic designer and I can make those, but to make a good YouTube thumbnail is a different level of expertise. So one of my biggest surprises is how much work it really takes to get a YouTube channel off the ground or just to be consistent.
Yeah. And then what was the thing that you wish you would have known sooner? Like looking back at your channel and you're like, man, I wish I would have known that sooner.
Yeah, man, there's so many things. It's just so many things. I would say one of the things I wish I knew sooner is how to tell a story, like how to really come up with formats. You know what? Definitely formats, because from the outside looking in, it just looks like people are coming up with great ideas. But now really sitting down and really educating myself on how the process works, it's like running a television show, you know?
Right.
So if I would have learned in the beginning that, hey, come up with a format you could stick to that you can grow with, it'll be an easier process. I think that goes a long way.
And when you are talking about formats, can you expound upon that? What do you mean by formats? I know, but let's break it down a little bit here on the show.
Yeah, sure. So when I say format, so for example, let's say I want to do an art challenge, right? So that's a format. So the video is, hey guys, I'm going to do an art challenge. I don't know. I can only use 3 colors. That's my art challenge. And I'm going to try to draw what just came out, Wolverine or Deadpool. Let's see if I can make that happen. And I could have a playlist of where I just take popular challenges and try to make them happen for my audience. I could invite them to the challenge. I could have them give me ideas. I could use random generators. But the whole idea is like taking a format like a television show that is the same thing and just trying to get different ideas out of it. I don't know if I did a good job explaining
You
that.
did. It's basically programming. It's programming
Thank
for the
you.
YouTube channel, right? It's just figuring out the different, like on my channel, I do tutorials about all different software, technology software, and I have a series that I run for specific software. When Zoom came out, I did a whole thing on working from home and how to set up a Zoom call properly and do these things. And so that's programming. And so figuring out what works for your channel is important. I want to transition now into one of the things that you do well, and I would assume would be a little bit nerve-wracking as a graphic designer, is you've already mentioned thumbnails, right? You're so good at art, and I've watched a bunch of your videos. I watched the one you recently did, recreated inside out characters into new emotions. My daughter and I watched that last night. My daughter's big into art right now. She's 9 years old. She's very talented, and I know I'm prejudiced, but she's very talented. And she loves drawing, and she's got her iPad, and she's got Procreate on there because I've done some work for them, and so she's doodling and all this stuff. And I showed her. I said, "Hey, I'm going to have this guy on the podcast," and we watched the video. I'll have to say, like, your thumbnails are just killer. And obviously, you're very good at art. You're very good at graphic design. Can you explain your process of how you go about doing a thumbnail?
Yeah. So for me, I treat it like me creating my artwork, right? So I try to find as many examples that are trying to do something. How do I say this? I try to get as many examples as possible of different ideas I could put together. So I probably do 5 different thumbnails, and I just write down like, hey, what does this thumbnail need, right? And then I try to boil it down just to 3 items on the thumbnail. Because my first start, it was almost like a poster, more or less. And then I learned that over time, that because people are looking through YouTube on their phone or they're looking on the internet, like you never know what size.
Yeah.
To treat the thumbnail almost like a logo to where it works small and works big goes a long way. So what I try to do is keep it as simple as possible, no more than 3 items. And I try to tell the story of what's going to happen in the video with as little to as many images as possible. That's how I try to approach it. And I also use references from what other people have done just to help give me some ideas on how I can create my own thumbnails.
Do you streamline colors and fonts and things like that for branding purposes, keeping them similar? As far as I noticed the fonts seem similar on your thumbnails, and I noticed you trying a lot of the things that are working. Like on the video that I just referenced, the Inside Out video, you did kind of anxiety on one side and then sadness on the other side, and you split it down the middle. That's a very popular theme right now on YouTube, is people doing the comparison, like the dollar versus the 10,000. You talked about looking for outside influence, but do you keep some sense of branding with fonts and coloring and styling?
Yeah, I try my best to. What makes YouTube difficult is certain colors work better than others. So I know that Anderson Bluu might not work on YouTube. So right now, to be honest, I'm playing around with it, trying to find a good common ground. But what I would say is definitely branding goes a long way, because if you see a lot of thumbnails at work, especially for people like Mr. Beast, it's you see the same thumbnail, you see his face, people know exactly what they're getting. Yeah. Or from some of my favorite channels, you know it's that person because it has a certain style. I'm not there yet. I'm still figuring it out, but I will say it is important.
It's what people, it's recognition, right? When you see a video and suggested, like you mentioned about Mr. Beast, you're like, oh, I know that's a Mr. Beast video, or I know that's an Anderson Bluu video, right? Because of the styling and branding on the thumbnails. I absolutely love that. As far as like the tools that you use for your thumbnail, is it Photoshop, or what are you using to design your thumbnails?
Yeah, I use Photoshop and Adobe Illustrator. I mix them both together. They're both so. Not to go too much into the weeds, Photoshop is really good at editing photos, like editing the colors, making it brighter, the contrast, stuff like that. And Illustrator is more from the design standpoint. So I just like to mix both those things together. So it really depends on what video I'm doing, but it's pretty much down the middle, I would say.
Awesome. Yeah. I love messing around in Illustrator, but if you're not a good artist, it's really difficult. And I assume for you, you're probably using a tablet and you're able to draw and design it and then put that into Photoshop and place it where you want it. Again, you're in the Adobe ecosystem, as am I, but there's other ways of doing it. I've used Canva before. And you mentioned people watching on their mobile devices. People don't realize that what I like to do oftentimes is I zoom out on whatever software I'm using for my thumbnail. I zoom way out and I look at how it would look from far away to see how it would look smaller. And that's a good kind of tip for people to put into their thumbnail regimen. So I mentioned before in the opening that you have grown your channel a lot through YouTube Shorts. Can you talk about your YouTube Shorts and vertical video strategy for your videos, maybe even outside of YouTube? You can cover everything from your upload schedule, how you optimize not being able to do custom thumbnails, things like that. And then even off YouTube, where are you putting this stuff?
Yeah, so I'll just be honest and tell you how I even got into vertical, and that was because of TikTok. When I first started my YouTube channel, I was getting views, but I wasn't cracking more than a couple of hundred just because I didn't understand how to create a video. And it wasn't until I joined TikTok in 2019 and I started to do short form video, and that just gave me the reps to learn how to do it because I just did 100 bad videos. And after a while, you're like, all right, how could I get better at this? And after doing videos for 6 months, I started to learn, hey, maybe if I make some educational videos or if I make some videos for the audience, not so much videos for me, but for them, I wonder what would happen. And that's what changed everything for me. So for a good year or two, I blew up my TikTok to 1.2 million followers. And I got like a real good flow of how to make short form content and what was the right way to do it and do it in my own voice. And then as soon as YouTube Shorts popped off, that's when I went over there, like immediately. As soon as they did it, I'm like, oh, I have to be a part of this. And that's what really grew my YouTube channel. And the very beginning, most of the videos I brought over did not do well because what TikTok does is it teaches you how to make good videos for TikTok, but not good videos universally. So I still had to take a step back and learn how to do that through YouTube Shorts. But what I will say for YouTube Shorts is it just taught me how to become a better storyteller and give people the information in a professional way and in an entertaining way. But as far as my scheduling for YouTube Shorts, for me, I try to post as much as possible. If I can get 15 posts per month, that's like the sweet spot for my channel is what I've found. I've also learned just trying to experiment with, just because with YouTube Shorts, you can do 60 seconds as far as the videos you upload. So just trying different formats as far as doing some short, maybe some longer, to try to hit different types of audiences.
The best storytellers that I've had on this podcast are people who are good at vertical video and shorts, and I have a theory. I've not always been the biggest fan of vertical video, maybe just because the way YouTube kind of categorizes it, and I wish they'd do a better job of differentiating, hey, long form. I know they had the tab of here's videos, here's shorts, but oftentimes it can affect different parts of your channel if one of them does good or bad, and I guess it's good if it's positive, but it's not if it's negatives. It discourages experimentation, but the best storytellers I've had on the show are the people who are good at shorts because they can tell a story quickly and they can take 60 seconds and they can do the arc of the story, the lows, the highs, and all the different emotions within the 60 seconds. And you do that. You do, where you take little clips from your longer videos and you piece them together and you do these challenges and you really capture people in the first few seconds, and that kind of gets their attention to watch the shorts. Because you've done so good, and we're talking like your shorts right now, there's some of them getting millions of views, right? There's a few that you did, the last 6, the first 3, 1 million views, 1 million views, 2.4 million views, and I could keep talking, 11 million views for some of these videos. And so you're really popping off. So I want you to give my audience, I know we don't have that much time, but like a masterclass of give me the top 2, 3, 4 things that you've learned doing YouTube Shorts that can help people succeed in that style of format of video.
Yeah, I think, so what I will say is maybe do some research to see what works, because YouTube Shorts is its own beast, meaning that like a lot of the stuff that you could do with long form is just probably not going to work. So for example, you want to come in and you want to have a strong hook in the first 3 seconds. And in that strong hook, you want to set up your video so they know exactly what they're watching. So when I say that, for example, I use myself. When a person comes to my video, the first 3 seconds, they might see me or they might see me drawing. They might just see me drawing at my desk, and I might say, hey, this is the best way to draw this thing, or don't use the mistake, or let me try this again. Don't make this mistake using Adobe Illustrator. But visually, they know they're getting a drawing video because they see me in front of my tablet. They see me drawing a thing. So I'm already targeting the right person. And then after that, I'm going to spend the time, either give them a list of, hey, these are 3 things you should know, or this is a story I'm going to tell you. But what I like to do is I like to get rid of the fluff, get to the point, switch either images or keep it fast paced all the way to the end. and then I don't let the video hang at all. So the things that I stopped doing is like trying to introduce myself, saying things that probably the person wouldn't care about. I think that's probably the hardest thing that people, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess that's probably the hardest thing people coming into short form have, because they feel like they have to introduce themselves for every video. But I think if you give them value and you're just trying to give the person the best answer or to give them the best story, people will stay around and they'll check out your other videos. So I think that's what's the most important thing.
Hey guys, a quick pause in the interview this week to talk about my new weekly newsletter called the Entrepreneur's Minute. My plan for the newsletter is to only send out one email every week with a recap of what's going on in my business, maybe do an income report letting you know how much money I've made that week or that specific month, an update on my YouTube channel, and just a behind-the-scenes look of what it takes to be a creator, the books that I'm reading, the products I'm discovering, new AI tools and resources. So if you're just looking for a way to better connect with me, Dusty, and see what I got going on, and the different things that I want to write about each week, maybe it's my family, maybe it's my business, it's absolutely free. It's called the Entrepreneur's Minute, and I would really appreciate it. All right, now back to the show. I've called it, I'm not gonna patent this or anything, but I've called it the swipe and stay. How do you get someone to swipe and stay? So we're not talking about Tinder here, people. We're talking about YouTube Shorts or any short form video when they're swiping and they're watching the videos, because I found that short form doesn't work very much for search. They're discovering as they're consuming, as they're going and they're swiping up or down. So how can you get them to pause and stop, watch the hook, get them hooked, and then boom, watch it, and then hopefully watch a bunch more of your stuff, which is what we're talking about. You're doing the quick hook, and you talked about that. And then is there any advice you'd give on what you choose for the thumbnail? Because we can't customize it yet. Come on, YouTube, please let us do that. And then talk about that, about the way you optimize that, because all your thumbnails, I think you've optimized it to where all your videos are you drawing on your desk, whether it's a tablet or a piece of paper, and you got your markers at the top. It's very aesthetically pleasing, so that's the first thing. And then secondly, how are you linking that back to your other content as far as like long form?
Yeah. So as far as me picking like the image, or I guess the thumbnail for the shorts, I just try to find the best image during the video that works with the title. So if I'm telling a person a mistake, I'll make sure there's like a red X in there. If I'm saying something positive, I'll make sure it's me drawing, maybe have a green check mark. So it's just visual icons to let the person know, oh, I'm going to learn something positive, or I'm going to learn something negative that I should probably avoid. That's what I find that works. As far as it linking to my long form, it's actually been a game changer, just because I think there's one video I got half my views from shorts. So what I'll try to do is, let's say if I create a long, you know what? I'll just tell you my strategy.
Yes.
So what I'll do is, let's say if I want to make a long form video, what I will do is I'll make a short form just to test it out to see if there's any interest in it.
Right.
If there is interest in it, then I'll say, you know what? Then I'll make the long form about it. So for example, when I did the Inside Out Swap Art Challenge, I first did a short version of it, and I saw the reaction from my followers, and then I said, you know what? Okay, I'm safe. Let me make the long form version of it. So because when I do these challenges, I'm drawing like 4 or 5 different things. I can now break that up into chapters and make that a short form to bring people back into it. So whenever I'm making a long form video, I have to make sure that I set the video up in chapters so I can break it down to make shorts to bring the person back into it, because I'm a short form first. So if I don't do that, for me, it's not worth it. And there's also one thing I did want to touch base on as far as the search component for YouTube Shorts.
Yes.
It's actually better than people think.
Okay.
And I don't think they changed this, but I will say this, and I took advantage of it. So when it comes to search, right? Do you know when, I don't know, you look up like how to fix my computer, they'll show you like the top videos, the top 10. Now what they did was they made another category, but for shorts.
That's right. They've added a kind of a, I call it a shelf, where they have 4 shorts, right? And where you can show up in that as well. I have noticed that. Again, you're convincing me here, Anderson. I'm with you here. I keep going.
So the advantage that I saw is now it's going to be almost impossible for you to get the top 10 of the videos that have been there for years. But if nobody's done it for the shorts and you do that, now you have the opportunity to be in the top 10 for the short version. And it does come up on Google. So I think back in December, I was doing videos on this pen called Poscas. And because I was creating helpful videos on like how to clean them, how to use them, I was coming up, I was mirroring the long form to the point where I like if you searched anything Posca, I would come up number one on Google because of the short form content. So pretty much what I'm saying is if you're thinking about making short form or you do, take a look at what demographic you're in and see if anybody's done anything that's made the top 10. If they haven't, you should do it because that's your advantage to get followers, to get subscribers, and for you to be at the top of the list without having to make a long form video.
All right, let's take my channel for instance. All right,
Yep.
I'm gonna ask you this, and we're gonna do it here live on the podcast. I do technology tutorials. I don't have any specific technology. It could be how to do something on your iPhone, how to do something on your Windows PC or your Mac. I do almost strictly long form content. Would it be beneficial for me to take some of my more popular videos and break them down into shorts now that I know they're using what you're doing, but reverse engineering it of these are popular long forms on my channel. And we're talking some of the popular tutorials that I have, we're talking multiple millions of views, right? So with that being the case, should I break them down? And we'll talk about the whole thing about monetization. And I know for you, it's different because you're selling actual physical products. So for you, you don't have to worry about the ad revenue and things like that because I know how poor that is. With that being the case, what would you do for a channel like mine? Would you do the routine that I just mentioned?
Yeah, absolutely. I would look to see like, all right, what are the hot videos in technology? So for example, let's say new iPhone drops tomorrow, right? There's going to be so many videos of people doing long form, doing reviews, showing them how to use it. But if nobody's making the short form videos and you do that, now you have an opportunity to be at the top. So you pretty much want to look and see like, all right, what haven't people done and what happened to be like the most viral videos or the videos that getting the most views. I need to make the short form version of that and just make as many videos of that as possible. And then if you have a link back to your long form videos, even better. So if you already have a proof of concept for long, yes, definitely break those down and make short form videos. I guess the only thing you have to figure out is, are you just going to chop up what you already have, or are you going to sit in front of the camera and kind of just redo it? You get what I'm saying?
I don't think the chopping up what I already have works because I've tried that when shorts first came out, but I did do a few kind of from the jump of just starting just saying, okay, this video is going to be a YouTube short, not repurposing what I have, and those have done really well. We're talking 30, 40, not for you, but for me, it's really good. And I love that. Anderson, me and you, I might have worked out a kink here for my channel, so I love that. That's awesome.
Yeah, man, try it out. I would love to hear how it goes.
Absolutely. So let's talk about monetization, all right? The big elephant in the room. First thing first, this is a very simple question. Are you doing this full-time? So you're doing graphic design and content creation full-time?
Yes, I'm blessed. Yes.
Good for you, man. I'm so happy for you. But I assume you still do graphic design for clients, right? Like you're able to do your passion plus content, but I guess now you're dropping more towards content?
So I've actually made the decision this year to not do freelance work. I didn't do a lot of it unless it's like a collaboration with Anderson Bluu. So if it's not that, it's not a brand I want to work with, I am all in on my YouTube channel because I see the potential what it can be. So trying to focus on one thing.
So your model is, and you correct me where I'm wrong here, I have looked at your whole ecosystem. It's brilliant, by the way. You've done a great job. You market yourself on your platforms, on YouTube and TikTok, Instagram, wherever, and then with all this content, you point people back to your shop, which you then are able to sell your sketchbook, your different prints, different merch, things like that. So on top of the ad revenue you're getting for your video views on all the platforms, you're also getting revenue now from the physical products you're selling, right? Which are amazing, and you've done a good job. I love your sketchbook. It's awesome. So with all of that packaged with, I assume, brand deals, can you just break down your monetization strategy and buckets that you have for the channel? And you don't have to tell us exactly, but can you give us an estimate of kind of what you make on a monthly basis?
Yeah, so monthly basis is all over the place, but I could definitely give you the buckets. All right, so I make money from selling my artwork, like you said, right? Selling the Anderson Bluu products. I also hit the road at different conventions, so I'll bring my artwork with me. And at those shows, I can make between $2,000 or $10,000 from selling my artwork there. And then I'll have, let's say, monthly drops in my artwork. So you sign to my email list. Once a month, I'll drop a limited edition artwork. And you have either 24, 48, or 72 hours to buy that art piece. If you don't, that's it. You don't have the chance to. It goes back in the vault. And the only way for you to buy it is when I'm on the road doing these art conventions. So that's one bucket. And then the other bucket I have is me doing collaborations with brands. So I have some sneakers behind me. So I've done a lot of sneaker designs for brands like Converse, for Diodora, Foot Locker. And those collaborations are great because it's like working freelance, but it's a better experience because my name is on the product and it helps to build up the Anderson Bluu brand.
Mhm.
And that's just, I guess, another bucket that I have. And with those collaborations, it varies whatever the project is, but as far as payment that we could receive, it really depends how much work we're really doing, because sometimes we do the storytelling, we do the marketing, we do the video and advertising. It just depends how much work they want me and my team to do. But those projects could vary between 5,000 all the way up to 60K. It just depends how much work we need to do per project. And then we have the social media aspect as far as brands that want to market on my channels. So I already talked about the TikTok channel. So like brands like Adobe, Disney, they might want me to design something to help promote a TV show, or they might want me to show their programs and their services and things like that. And with the TikTok channel, depending, and it varies, I would say for every 100,000 you have, you probably can get like $1,000 per brand, depending on what they want you to do. So you guys can do the math on that. So I have the ability to turn on monetization on TikTok. I don't bother because it's just pennies on the dollar.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they say they don't, but I feel like once you're monetized, they skew the numbers. And then after that, I have my YouTube channel, and that is slowly building, making the jump to long form. But with shorts, this is what I'll say about shorts. I know people are not happy how much money people are making. I know it's in the cents. But what I will say is when it first started, it was like 5 cents, right? Which is like nothing. Now I would say it's been a year. It's tripled. It's now to 15. And I'm torn because if you're good at making short form content, it's I won't say it's easy, but it's easier to go viral on short form.
Agreed.
So if you're good at it, if you're good at it, you want to make something, you're best to do it on YouTube Shorts. So for me, every time a video hits 1 million, I probably get like $150. So for me, it's different because I know I can make viral videos. It's not gonna happen every time, but I just have a better chance because I just know how to do it. But what I will say is, I think one of the things that people don't talk a lot about with YouTube Shorts is, or any short form content, is the reason why I get so many followers is because people are going through more videos, right? So with long form, a person can only watch so many 15, 30-minute videos a day. So I see YouTube Shorts as a way to get new audience and not have to battle with the people that have been there, that have seniority over me. So that's where I think the potential is. And of course, you could post it everywhere. So those are pretty much all my buckets of how I make money as a creator. And I'm sure there's probably like some little things in there I might have forgotten, but that's pretty much like the bulk of how I make money as a creator.
So you would estimate that it's about, for 1 million views on a YouTube short, ad revenue for that, again, give or take, is around $150.
Probably currently right now. And it all, like, I'm in the art space, so I would say we're probably in the middle towards the lower end. If you did tech, it'd probably be higher.
Yeah, I would say you're in the lower end, like the how-to content, technology stuff, like the ad rate. If let's say there's 4 tiers, where the bottom would be animation and graphic design. I think that's where you are. I've talked to a lot of animators and they're like, man, I can't make nothing. But then I talk to people in finance and they're in like the #1 spot. If you're talking finance or business on YouTube, there's so many companies trying to advertise on YouTube and Google that you're making some of those YouTube Shorts creators, 1 million viewed short would give them like $500, right? So it varies, right? I'm looking at my YouTube Shorts feed. I have one that had like 50,000 views, so it's not very much, but it looks like I was estimating around 22 cents per, if it were to extrapolate out. If that's the case, you really just need to try it first and see what's going to work for you. You can do the math. You can see that Anderson's doing really well. I'm so happy that he is. I know you have a team of people, so it's not just you, right? So you have some people who help you do this thing. As we get towards the end of the interview, I want to ask you, what would be your just advice, general advice for people looking to either start or grow or monetize their content? Like, what's some general advice that you would give being in this thing for as long as you have now?
So I think it depends what kind of content you do. I think if you're a talent and you're doing a thing, if you're like a cook, if you're a chef, if you're an artist, if you're actually making a thing and that's like your full-time job, I would do shorts, just because long form is so hard. And if you don't have the team and the time to do it, you're going to be burnt out. So I got into doing shorts because I just didn't have the time and it was the easiest way for me to make video content. But if you're a person who's passionate and you do want to do long form, that's the best version of content you can make. I've talked to many brands. To them, that's the A plus. But what they will say is short form in their eyes is just B. So it's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. And I'm more than happy to work with people that way. So I think just getting started, just doing something to get started, just to see if you like it or not, is a great way to do it. And then just trying to figure out how you can get better over time. Like, how can I get people to watch longer? How can I do a better job at reviewing this product? How I could get better just talking in front of the camera. And just remember that it's a long game. I know a lot of people talk about how much money they're making, how fast it's happening, but I've been a graphic designer for, it's about to be 16 years. In the first 10 years, nothing happened. Nothing happened at all because I was just learning how to do this thing. And it wasn't until I turned 30, things started to click because I was really starting to figure things out. So I would just say just to take your time and then just to try new things and just to be patient.
Yeah, I think it's something that I've gathered from this episode is, number one, as you were talking, I did look up that YouTube short that I did, and it looks like in the last 7 days, it's really picking up in YouTube search. Now, I'm not saying this is a coincidence, but I do believe that YouTube has done something, because I'll be honest with you, Anderson, when shorts came out, this was not the case. You had to be discovered in the discovery feed, the homepage, or the browse. You would get nothing from search. But if you search for things now, like this short that I have here is titled, let's see here, how to manually back up your iPhone. And basically it's a 60-second video, or it's 38 seconds. And it's really popping off lately for me. Now, not for you, obviously. But I think that what I could do as a how-to creator is I could link back to a 8-minute video of, oh, hey, you got more questions? Here's a longer video I did showing you even more details, right? I have to figure out the hook and figure that out, but I love that. I think that my strategy going forward is I'm going to try this. I'm going to really do a 90-day trial of doing some shorts and relating them to long form and see where it comes up in search. So I really appreciate you being willing to describe your strategy on this, because you've really figured it out. Not many people have, but you have. And so I'm really happy for you. What's next for you? Like long-term and short-term, what's next for the channel?
Yeah, for me, long term is my goal is to hit 1 million subscribers. That's my main goal, to be honest. So for me right now, it's just to get into the flow of how to do long format videos and mix it with my short format videos. So just trying to take that skill and just bring it into long form, because I know I have a lot to work on, but I see the potential. I'm really excited about it. So like I said, my #1 focus is to focus on a YouTube channel. And I'm going to continue doing prints like the ones I have behind me, but they'll be tied to challenges and tied to videos with limited edition releases. So I'm really excited.
Awesome. Guys, it's Anderson Bluu on YouTube, Anderson Bluu, BLU over on YouTube. I'll put the links to all of his stuff in the show notes. As always, Anderson, thank you so much for joining us today, and we'll talk to you next time.
Thanks for having me, man.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to this week's episode of the YouTube Creators Hub podcast. I really do appreciate it. Don't forget, you can subscribe to the show for absolutely free in your podcast player of choice. Also, there are ways you can connect with us. You can support us by supporting our sponsor, TubeBuddy, as well as supporting us over on Patreon to get access to our creator Discord community. And I also offer YouTube coaching and consultation, YouTube channel reviews, and just overall business coaching if that's something that you are wanting to look into. So make sure you check us out there, and we'll see you next week.